And we're back. We're in the latter stages of the Civil War. It's 1864. And with all the boys in gray and blue about to be returning home soon, there's going to be a huge increase in demand for beef, and we are well prepared to meet that demand. Now, I have my train on the way back. Take a look at how this truck situation is going as they come back. I am going to still have a couple trucks running empty at the end, but remember this segment right here, we're going to upgrade the capacity of my train, so I'm going to need that extra cargo capacity here in the not too distant future. I want to upgrade to the 440 American and add 2 cars. That's going to take me approximately $800,000. And I'll probably take out one more $500,000 loan installment to cover that, because I think I'll be just a little short of that when my train comes in. I don't really want to wait another loop to add that on. So as the train comes back, I'll start talking about why I put the depot here. What's going to happen? My train's going to come in, it's going to offload. As when it reaches 0 on the offload, I'm going to tell it to go to the depot. And I'll slow this down. And it's going to run out to the depot. I'm going to pause the game. I'm going to go in and upgrade my train because I don't want to replace the whole train. I just want to add a couple things to it, modify it. And then when I put it back online, look what it does. The first thing it does is go back to my resource. It goes to my resource center where there's going to be a lot of livestock. I'll just pause it. A lot of livestock right here waiting to fill up that added cargo capacity. Now, typically the very first time, let's say I'm going to increase up to 70. It may get 70 right away, right out of the depot. It may get 66, but it will get more than 56. Now, let's contrast that to if I'd build it down here. It would drop off the livestock, run inside, which doesn't take very long, come right back up and pick up food. It's not going to have enough food waiting for it to run back full. So I always build this depot at the resource site, so that when I upgrade and come out, he can almost completely max out the new cargo capacity, run that down the line, drop it off at the butcher shop, and the next trip back he's going to have that increased amount of food ready to bring back. So it lets me get back online and gin up much more efficiently. Now, why do I have it here instead of, say, out here, especially when I know I'm going to have an oil well starting up right here? Why didn't I build it out here and I can serve both lines in the future? You're not thinking ahead, Teslon. Yes, I am. Because here's what happens. If I build it out here, and as my train comes in full of cargo, I say, hey, go to the depot so I can upgrade you, I immediately lose all the cargo. For whatever reason, the crew members say, hey, we need to go to the cargo. Kick all that livestock off the train. They open up the doors and kick them out. Steers running all over the countryside, or they just dump the hamburger and steak out, and it either spoils or some cowboy comes along and picks it up and takes it home. Either way, I don't get money for it. I'll lose all my cargo. Then it comes into the depot. It's offline when I tell it to go to the depot. It doesn't have a line assigned to it. I have no demand along this line or way to provide supply. Upgrade my train, assign it to the depot, and I have to make it all the way here before I establish supply and demand again. I have a lot of downtime along my line, and that means the demand is going to drop off, and it's going to take longer to reestablish the full cargo route again. Whereas if I have it right here just off the resource center, it takes a couple seconds to get out here. I pause the game to minimize the amount of game time where I'm offline, change out, put it online, start it up, and I'll see demand drop a little bit, but not very much, and literally within one loop it'll be back to full demand, able to handle the increased capacity, and so cost-wise, efficiency-wise, it makes a lot of sense to do it in this configuration. Initial startup lines. Once you get more complex, and if you're in easy or moderate mode, this may just be a waste of time. Eventually, even in this game, I'll get to the point where I start replacing entire trains instead of doing upgrades, and at that point, no significant advantage at all. Matter of fact, it may become a liability. Then you may even see me change this over there to service both routes at once for when I add new trains into the system. But in the startup mode, especially on hard mode, this makes a lot of economic sense to set it up this way. So we're going to bring the train in. I'm going to close this out because I want to concentrate just on the train. I'm going to slow it down to just basic speed because I want to send it to the depot, which is this little depot and arrow button, right when he offloads down to 0. Because if I do it too soon, I lose the food that's on board, and if I wait until he starts loading, I lose whatever he loaded. So I want to tell him to go to the depot right when he hits 0. There we go. Now I'll speed it up to get him to the depot without wasting time. As soon as he hits the depot, I'm going to put him in pause mode, and I'll upgrade and then get him back out and running. So I pause the game. He has no line. As soon as I told him to go to the depot, he's not serving the line anymore. Right now, this line has no way to provide the supply it needs to meet the demand. So if the game was running, it would slowly be decreasing in the amount of demand that was needed for livestock, and eventually it'd drop all the way down to 0 again, and he'd have a whole new startup route. But I paused the game so that won't happen. I want to sell this engine and buy the 440 General, or better known, more commonly known as 440 American. 317. I want to add 2 cargo cars, box cars. Ah, man, I'm 5,000 short. That really sucks. Now I have to decide. I really wanted to run 70. Is it worth taking out a loan to get $5,000? Yeah, I will just do it. It saves me from having to do it again. Kind of a little bit of a waste of money, but I don't think I'm going to burn a lot in lost profit. So it'll just have me that much closer to paying off the loan again. So I have the money. I buy the car. Now do I want to go to 77? The danger here is I overproduce. If I start bringing back more food than Omaha can consume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm bringing back 70. I'm at 71%. So 56 met 75%, and I'm adding 14, which is about a third of 56. Actually, it's not. It's 25%. If I add 25% more in here, I'm going to be up in the high 90s. I really don't want to add that extra car because I don't want to have to try to figure out what to do with my food right now. There's not another town close to here. I don't really want to truck it all the way over to South Bend. So for now, I'm just going to stay here, and that'll give me a little bit of a heads up on being able to quickly start paying back my loans, because as I build this fuel line, I'm also going to want to pay off my loans, reduce my interest down to 0. So I'll assign this back to the line, and now I'll be able to turn it back on. And you'll see it'll come out right to here and pick up. It'll go full, or all close to full. I had very minimal time that my train spent not assigned to the line. And at the same time, the line spent without having a train assigned to it. Very little game time. So minimal impact. And let's see how much we get. 70. Awesome. Very first time I'm full. This is perfect, and this is why I put it right at the end. Very little disruption to the route. Now, why didn't I use the replacement menu? And again, I know if you've already played this game, you already know the answer to that. Some of you are fairly new to the game, so just if you already know the answer, bear with me. It's something that people need to understand, or else they end up wasting a lot of money. If I go into the line menu and use the replacement, and I think, let's see, I want to add a 440 American, and I want to add 2 boxcars. Now I can do this without spending money because I'm just setting up my replacement. I haven't actually bought anything yet. I'm just telling the game what I would like to do. If I go in now and say replace, it's like, yeah, the game's smart enough to trade out the engine and add the cars. No, it's not. I'm telling it this is what I want to end up with. So if I say replace now or turn on automatic replacement and wait for the train to get old and replace itself, this is what I will end up with. I'll end up with a 440 American and 2 cars. And I will have screwed myself royally. You use the replacement option when you want to trade out your entire train. Because I just wanted to upgrade my engine and add 2 cars, my only choice, the only way I can do it, is to send it to the depot and actually manually do it in the depot the way you just saw me do it. So that's why I build the depot close to the resource site. When I build my oil line, you'll see me do the same thing, just a little bit off the oil well, so I can do the exact same thing. Like I said, later on in the game, where I have a whole bunch of money and I'm tending to replace the entire train at the same time, I'm not going to just add a car or 2. I'm going to replace the entire train, because I add cars at that point. There's new shiny engines that are bigger and faster and stronger, and I'm going to want to add them too, as well as be changing from the initial box car to the second box car that can carry 12 instead of 7, and then eventually the third box car after that, or whatever. I'm going to tend to replace trains when I can do the whole thing at once. And that way they stay on the line. The way that works is, when I replace on the replacement menu, I put in what I want to replace. If I replace now, pulls the money out of my bank. The replacement train is already there, and as soon as the train reaches whatever stop is next, doesn't matter where on the line it is, whatever train station or terminal station is next, when it reaches there, it'll offload its cargo, it'll upgrade, and then it will fill up. And so at that point, this no longer is needed, but that's going to be many years in the future. So now my next step is going to be, I only have 49 this time, I should have 70 next time. I'm going to have to reevaluate the trucks I have. Now, have I guessed right, and have I optimized the number of trucks I'm going to need for this increased cargo coming back? And we won't know that for 2 more trips, because I don't have full capacity coming back this time, so I can't evaluate it. I already know I'm going to have trucks running empty. Next time back, I think I will be close to 70 on the way back, so I can get a better idea of whether the number of trucks I have are going to be in sync with the amount of cargo I'm bringing back. Because I probably won't touch this line again until the 260 Mogul comes out. I'll be building up the other line and spending money on that. So most likely I won't touch this again. When the 260 Mogul comes out, I'll probably upgrade this train at that time. And then I'll have to reevaluate my trucks again. So we're going to let this run out and back one more time and evaluate my trucks. If you don't want to waste the time doing that because you already have that down, go ahead and go, because there's not going to be anything else exciting happen along the way. But if you want to take a look again at how to optimize trucks, then stick around and I'll show you here in about 5 minutes, maybe 10. Personally, what I'm looking at is how much food am I going to be bringing back, and it looks like 68. So I'm going to be near full. And I'm starting to think about, while we're waiting here, I know I'm going to have this route or that. Okay. I have a choice between going here and going here. By the time I do this, well, I definitely have the 440 American. I will probably build here because it's slightly longer and I can do it almost in a straight line. Let's see how the terrain looks. Hardly any terrain change at all. Pretty much I'm going to come here. Slightly longer route to generate a little bit more income. But now while this train comes back, and I'm watching it here so I can get back fairly quickly, I can just click on this button right here. It'll take me right back to the train. I'm looking at where are other possibilities to expand as I start generating more money. And here's one right here. I have a farm close to St. Petersburg, food processing plant here. That's not really. This field farm is closer to this town than this one, so this is ideal. It's a longer route and it's closer. There's one possibility. Let's see. I have this oil well close to Norfolk, and I can run into the same refinery. This is good to know because what this tells me is when I build my second line into here, I'm going to want to build a terminal with 2 lines, and I don't want it to be a terminal. I just want it to be a station where I can bring in freight both ways, because I have this line coming in this way on the one part of the terminal and this line coming in this way on the other side of the terminal. So it'll let me have 2 different trains come in from different directions and not have to wait for each other. So that's a good little piece of knowledge to keep in mind there. There's 2 more easy starter type routes I can build. And here's a potential one. I have to go across the bridge. They aren't really that expensive, but this is a pretty short route. When I get up to faster trains, this is going to be a really short route. It's not really ideal. And now he's back. So let's cut back right now and see how I do now. I don't want to follow him anymore. That was just to get me back. I brought back 68. I want to watch this together as he goes out and as he pulls back into the station, how much food is left. So I'm going to continue looking for routes. Let's see. This one I already noted. It has a little bit of terrain. Once I get to the bigger, faster, stronger trains, it's not going to be as bad. But here's a possibility. I already know in the future I want to extend this route down to here to compensate for the line continuing to shrink in length, relative length, as my trains get faster. I'll shift production over to here, and that'll also enable me to have a branch come off this line over to this farm, have him run product down here and bring it back to South Bend. Be able to go from this farm. Wow. It wants me to exit this way, which isn't really the way I want to go. I don't have a food production facility over here. I would like to bring this from here down to here back to Chandler, but I would probably have to destroy 2 fields to do that. That's probably workable. It'll be expensive, but it won't be that bad. In the long run, I'll end up making a lot of money that way. I'll probably end up building a line this way. Do I have a refinery over here? I have an oil well here that can service Montgomery. Refinery here, that's not really good. Could bring it over here and add a third set of a third train into here. Come back to Montgomery, that's a possibility. Conversely, I may want to run it down here. Now my train's on the way back. This is a bit of a stretch, but I'll show you in the future. This will actually be very profitable. I can go from this oil well all the way over to either this refinery or this one and run it back into Downey. Bit of a grade here, but if I follow the terrain around, I'll probably just go around this way And then instead of going straight up, I'll go from here all the way up to here. That's a nice long stretch. It makes the climb a lot more gentle. And I'll be able to go from here probably over to here. So I have a decent amount of options for additional routes to help generate more income in the future and push me toward $1 billion. And that's really how you have to look at it. Use your entire map. Don't get focused like some, especially new players. And let me pause it right now. And I blew it because I already offloaded cargo. So oh well. Don't get caught up. I'll still be able to see here. I can still stop it. I have 72. I brought 70 back, and I have 72, which means there was only 2 left when my train got back. Okay? So that is less than a full truckload of cargo was left at the freight station when my next load of cargo came in on the train. So right now, I have it tweaked out about as close as I can get it. I can't eliminate half a truck. So next time, because this is not exactly symmetric with, it's not an equal distance between every horse cart. And in 4 years, I'll have the 4-horse carts come out, and I'll upgrade then. That may prompt me to add another train car. I don't know. I don't know yet because I just have my increased capacity coming back. The next thing I'm going to look at is how close to 100% am I getting on meeting demand for Omaha. But as for right now, with only 2 food left over when my new train came in, that's as close to optimized as I can get it in the current setup. So I'm not going to touch that at all. I have $1.4 million. I'm going to pay back 2 loans. Now I know I'm trying to save money to build this next line. I can't do it for $1.41 million. Oh my God, I just took out loans. That was stupid. I want to pay back loans, not take out more. That's no harm, no foul since the game's paused. Why am I paying back loans when I'm trying to save up money? For a simple reason. Every set of $500,000 I have makes me pay approximately $13,500 interest every year. So it's going to take me several years. I'm going to need probably around $2 million, a little bit more than $2 million, to put this new line in place, complete with train and truck. And if the new engine comes out before I'm ready, it'll probably run me almost up to $3 million. So it's not something I'm going to do next year or the year after. It's going to be 4 or 5 years from now. Ideally, I'll have the money at the same time the upgraded horse carts come out, and then I can start off my truck line with the 4-horse teams, and I won't have to worry about upgrading them. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Is I'll run this until January 1972. And then I'll build the line because I can establish my line with the 4-horse teams. And that'll give me it'll reduce having to upgrade 1 set of trucks here. So I'm paying off loans because it's going to take 4 years to get them. I'm paying $92,500 in loans every year. By paying back some of it, I reduce how much I'm paying back to the bank, which means I have more money in my pocket. The 4-horse teams cost $21,000 apiece. I just paid back $1 million in loans, which comes out to $27,000 a year, which means for 4 years I'm saving $27,000 a year. I basically just bought myself for free over what I was currently spending 4 or 5 horse teams, which is half of what I'm going to need when I set up my oil route. So by paying back the loan, I'm keeping more of my income for myself, which in turn allows me to take out less of a loan when it's time to build this line. Unless you're right at the point where you want to build, it makes sense to pay back the money and reduce the amount of interest you're paying. It's not a lot overall. It's $13,500 a year. But when you're in hard mode or when you're in penny pincher mode, it really helps you out. pay back your loans, take out new loans when the time comes, and you'll eke out just a little bit more money long term, and it'll help me more easily reach my $1 billion goal. So I'm going to turn it back on, and I'm going to take a break. We have this optimized. There's nothing I can do to improve that right now. And I'm just going to generate money. Most likely I will come back in early 1972 and set up my fuel line.